With the monologue, and then I'll introduce you. I
Perfect.
think it's pretty
Excellent.
good. Chad, where are you based? You in Los Angeles?
I'm actually based in Toronto, Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, we're a distributed
okay.
team.
You
Yeah,
are.
so yeah, I'm sitting in my office right now. You can see Myro in the door just behind.
Yeah, I looked at your Myro Island and the flip hat and all of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I became a full-time stalker. You guys, your design. I'm a fan of your design now. So I
Thank
mean,
you.
where did you go to a design school, or?
You know what? Most of the design stuff. I mean, my dad is a designer. He's a high-end renovation designer. Does a lot of like big custom home builds and stuff. So I think I got a little bit of the design acumen from my dad. But no, I went to school formally. My undergraduate studies were in communications and media. So I learned a lot about people, the way they receive information, the way they interact, the human experience, things like that. But the design side of it, I think, right out of college, I was a digital nomad. I was working on my laptops at coffee shops pretty much since 20 years old. So I've been just working at this skill for tens of thousands of hours and kind of, continuing to hone the craft, I'd say. So it's a learned thing over time.
So how many hours does it? So if someone wants to start UI UX design, okay, this is a question that I really need to ask you for the designers in the house, right? Who like, how do they start in UI UX for Web3, right? Mm-hmm. You could perhaps add in your personal experience on that.
For sure. Absolutely.
Let me just check if it's, I don't know if it's live or what's going on.
It does say live on my side. It has a counter.
Yeah, it is there. It is there. I'm just checking. It's because YouTube lags in terms of doing that. So let me just check shortly. I think it's good to go.
Excellent.
Okay. All right. Okay, yeah. Good. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Coin Republic podcast. My name is Shoaib Bhacharia. I have $1 billion question for you guys. Do you think Web3 is going to have a significant impact in the creator economy? Doesn't matter if you're a micro influencer, doesn't matter if you're a mega influencer, what industry you influence in. In the end of the day, the technology does have an effect in the way you influence today. We're going to attack this question from different angles. Most importantly, the design aspect of it, the immersive design aspect, but also decentralized finance, security, adoption, tokenization. To talk about these topics in depth, I have the perfect person. He is the Chief Design Officer of a cutting-edge social media platform based on the Hedera network. They're an up-and-coming project, but they're talk of the town. This man has been on the Collision, event of late, and he talked his heart out about design in the Web3 space. And it's an honor to have him on the show today. It's going to be a valuable one. So, without a further ado, let me introduce you guys to the screen, the one and only Mr. Chief Design Officer of Calaxy, Chad Weston. Welcome to the screen, sir.
Thank you, Saurabh. Pleasure to be here.
All the way from Toronto.
Toronto, Canada.
I have seen you, speak on the Collision event. Could you tell me about the event? What was the takeaway from the event?
It was a rush. It was an absolutely wonderful experience. Collision is one of the largest tech conferences in North America. It's put on by Web Summit, and I think one of the biggest takeaways was just how well organized the event was. I mean, they run that thing like clockwork. I mean, the way they triage you from backstage, speakers, lounges, into getting your mic prepped to being up on the stage. It's just so well organized. The tech dry runs in the morning, the people that you get to interact with. And the quality of the panels. I think there's a lot of really high quality talk. It was a little bit more focused on AI because I think AI has obviously taken over the headlines recently with the launch of ChatGPT and Google Bard and things like that. But it was just such a cool atmosphere to be a part of. It's my first time on a major stage like that, so that was a big moment for me, just to be able to step up. I was a little bit nervous, but I practiced ahead of time, and I think that it paid off. Going through the answers and things like that ahead of time, and kind of being able to work through the knowledge set and the things I really wanted to communicate and the value I wanted to bring. So I'd say overall it was a successful week. We had most of our team in town, so we did lots of dinners. The tallest tower in Toronto is called the CN Tower. And so I took my team up to the CN Tower for a dinner. It's a 360 restaurant that spins around. You can see the entire view of the city. So it was a really nice way to end off the week. But just an honor to be a part of that experience and to share the experience with Calaxy so far.
Now, you have, I think, a captivating personality that shined through that event, but you also have a dynamic team. NBA star Spencer Dinwiddie, that's one of your co-founders, as well as Solo Ceesay. He has been featured in Variety of late. So you guys are quite star-studded. Tell me a little bit about the team at Calaxy, sorry.
Calaxy with a C. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we have an amazing team. Solo and Spencer are they're visionaries. They're Spencer, was the first one in the NBA to tokenize his NBA contract. He broke it into it was a memorandum where he essentially sold bits of his contract at the time of the Brooklyn Nets to accredited investors. He was really pushing the boundaries of what is possible with tokenization beyond digital artwork. And so he really wanted to push the boundaries and say, hey, can I tokenize my contract? And it was Solo Ceesay, who at the time was a securitization banker at Citigroup, who securitized Spencer's NBA contract. And so that's how those two got together. And that formed the base use case for what is now Calaxy. And that was kind of the germination of the very, very beginning of the idea. And from then, it was basically, I came into the picture a couple of years later, I would say around July of 2020. I was working on a couple of other projects with Spencer and his investment firms. And he really liked my work. He liked our engagement. He liked the quality of the ideas that we were sharing. And at one point he came to me and he said, I'm going to send you a folder, and it's called Calaxy. And I want you to read through the paper here. And I want you to tell me what you think. And I want you to see if you can bring this project to life. And at the time, this was my first exposure to Hedera Hashgraph, which is the distributed ledger technology that we run on. It was also my first exposure to Web3 and crypto more broadly. I mean, I had been playing around a little bit with like altcoins, but this was the first time I had really faced a full, complete vision of something that was going to be far beyond just altcoins and speculation. And so, I didn't really understand everything, but I got the gist of his vision, and I said, yeah, let's do it. And so we jumped in, and that first 3 months was the beginning formation. That's where Myro was born, the brand story, the brand, the beginning of the UX for Calaxy. And from that, it's basically been a couple of years of development and refining. And we've been building, one of the cool things about Spencer and Solo, naturally Spencer's in the NBA, we have a lot of really cool relationships with creators. And so a lot of other NBA players, athletes, musicians, and things like that. So one of the taglines that we use at Calaxy is that we're for creators by creators. And the by creators piece is because we've had a family of creators that we've been able to build and iterate with all the way through our beta program. And so that's given us a lot of feedback, of real-time, real-life feedback from real creators that have followings in the millions, to be able to optimize an experience is going to work for them and actually enable them to turn on Web3 specific value. And so having those guys put belief in me, creating the position Chief Design Officer, which is not normally a position you probably think about in tech. You think about Chief Design Officer as like Johnny Ive is probably the most famous example, but he touched hardware and software, right? You've got Chief Design Officers at Jaguar Automotive and like hardware companies, but typically the lead designer works underneath the Chief Product Officer, right? They work within the product organization. And Spencer and Solo really, I think, believe that design is going to be very, very, very important in Web3 competitiveness. And so the Chief Design Officer is an organizational signal to say, hey, design matters at least as much as the business logic and at least as much as the underlying tech. And there should be a voice for the user at the same intensity that there's a voice for an interest for the technology and for the business logic and things like that. So to have that responsibility and that trust from those guys has been incredible. Calaxy is just, it's a fun environment. We move quick. We try lots of different things. We take risks. We're a small team. We're probably only about 10 or 12 people right now, plus some contractors. And so, did you want me to show the demo?
I just wanted to ask you right away, You guys are doing phenomenal work in terms of design and features. Let me just let us dive right into the features you guys have to captivate the audience right in the beginning, right? So, could you show us the demo which you showed in Collision?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course, absolutely.
let me share
So
the screen. There you go.
absolutely. So this is actually a feature that's going to be coming out shortly after we launch. And the theme of Collision was Web3 meets or UI UX meets Web3, and it was really about the topic was talking about how to achieve, friendly user experiences that feel like Web2 while accomplishing revolutionary functionality under the hood. And so the demo that I used to cap off that theme was texting an NFT to my co-panelist Eric Struck, who's a TikTok star, social star. He's got 8 million followers and stuff like that, as easy as texting a photo to your friend. So the feature here is basically just trying to show that we're addressing a lot of the friction points that surface up from distributed ledger technologies and enabling an experience that feels fun and familiar without having to do a lot of the legwork. And so, this demo is basically what you would essentially do is I want to start out by looking at my wallet. So my screen is on the left, and this was Eric's demo. This is a high fidelity prototype. I want to shout out ProtoPie, which is a high fidelity animation tool that allows me to create finished, polished product experiences well before it hits development. So it's a really nice way to get user feedback, stakeholder feedback, put this in the hands, in phones of creators and figure out how they're going to feel about things. But basically, the Ghost 2968, and shout out to the Dead Pixels Ghost Club. They're one of the largest NFT communities on the Hedera Hashgraph network. I just love these little cute ghosts, and I picked this one here. I thought this kind of looked like a raccoon onesie, so I don't know if that's the case. I think I'm getting some mixed reviews, but raccoons are a big thing in Toronto. So the BBC actually came and did a feature for Planet Earth on our raccoon ecosystem in downtown Toronto. And so anyways, this ghost here is the NFT asset, and you can see that I'm the owner. Here's all the metadata. Here's all the information about it, date minted, etc. Right? It's got some likes. So if I wanted to send that to Eric, what I was essentially trying to do here was I was trying to imagine what is a Web 2 paradigm that is kind of like this. Like, what is something that we do in Web 2 that's very familiar and easy when I want to send, in this case, send an NFT? And I said, well, this kind of looks like a photo gallery, right? Like this kind of looks like an iPhoto gallery of your pictures. And what I had basically asked the audience was like, well, if you want to send a picture to your friend, there's probably two dominant user journeys that you're going to take. You're either going to go to your photo gallery, click the picture, hit the share button, find the conversation, whether it's WhatsApp, iMessage, whatever it is, and then hit share to your friend. Or you're going to go to the conversation, go to the attach photo button in the bottom left where your message composer is, and then attach the photo from your library and hit send. But the common denominator between those two user journeys is chat. It's DM, right? It's very, very common. You're probably not going to put the picture onto a USB stick and then go hand deliver it to your friend. You're probably not going to email it unless it's like you're having attachment issues or it can't send, whatever. You're probably just going to text it. And so I thought, well, how do we create an experience that enables you to just text an NFT to your friend? Now, there's a couple things I want to note here. Sending an NFT wallet to wallet, self-custodied wallet to self-custodied wallet, is a much more serious thing than just texting a picture to your friend, right? You're transferring non-fungible ownership permissionlessly, peer-to-peer, from my self-custody wallet to Eric's in this case. And there are some friction points that come up to get that Web3 activity done that I would prefer as a designer to not surface to the user, right? And so some of the friction points that exist are becoming familiar with wallet sending and receiving addresses. That's a friction point. That's something I have to learn. That's a paradigm I have to understand. I have to go to Eric and I have to get his receiving address and I have to paste it in here in order to send the NFT. But there's also native token gas fees. So I actually have to pay for the compute resources to send that NFT and initiate that transaction, which means before I'm even eligible to send the NFT, I've got to go off the app potentially and figure out how to buy the native token, which in this case is HBAR, in order to fund the transfer. And then Eric on his side, in order to be eligible to receive the NFT, he has to do what's called a token association. And this is a unique feature to Hedera Hashgraph. It's one of the things that makes them wonderfully secure. But token associations essentially prevent wallet-to-wallet spam, right? So if you're familiar with Ethereum wallets, or if you have Ethereum wallets, you probably get hit with a lot of spam tokens and coins and NFTs and shilling and those kinds of things. And it's kind of annoying, right? So what Hedera did is they implemented this thing called token associations, which basically says, Eric's wallet first has to know about this ghost NFT before it shows up. So when it shows up, Eric's wallet will receive it. And if Eric's wallet is not associated with this ghost, it will turn it away. The transaction will fail, right? So Eric, in order to be eligible to receive this NFT, he actually has to go and do the token association and associate his wallet with the token ID of this NFT here. So that's a lot. And then he's also got to pay the gas fee in native tokens to be able to do that token association event. So this is, token associations, Saurav, are a wonderful security feature. They prevent wallet-to-wallet spam, but it does present an extra step for the user in order to be eligible to receive the NFT. So then I thought, okay, here's a list of all the stuff that you have to do that's Web3 native in order to send an NFT to your friend, right? How much of that stuff can we address and just take care of under the hood, right? And so the first thing I wanted to attack was the gas fees. And one of the wonderful things about Hedera Hashgraph is the gas fees are so nominal that it's actually more at the unit economic level, it's worth it for us to pay the gas fee on behalf of the user than it is to pass on that gas fee to the user, right? And so one of the things you can do with Hedera is assign a payer account to the transaction. So when I go to send this NFT, which I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go to my text messages here. I'm going to go to start a conversation with Eric. I'm going to hit the little action button. You can see there's a couple of different options here. You can send a request. This is actually sending an experience request to Eric, asking something from him, like a video call or video message. Send photo video, send crypto, which is cool. But the one I'm focusing on here is send collectible. So I hit send collectible. This brings up a carousel of all of my wallet assets. And you can see there's my Ghost 2968. Go ahead and click on it. And now I'm going to hit send. So the thing that I'm not worrying about right now is gas fees. I don't have to do that. Galaxy right now is actually paying the tiny little gas fee. And when I say tiny, Saurav, I'm talking like 0.005 or it's like a fraction of a penny. And so instead of passing all that friction onto the user, we just take care of that bill for them. And that enables me as the user to send the NFT to Eric. And then Eric's hit with this little prompt that says, hey, do you want to receive this NFT, yes or no? So what Eric is doing when he hits accept here is he is essentially telling his wallet to do the token association event. So as soon as he hits accept, it's going to do a token association for his wallet to associate with this Ghost 2968. And then it's going to receive that NFT into his wallet. And now, if I look at the transfer details on both of these activities, you'll see that this is an on-chain transaction on Hedera's mainnet. It's all taken care of. You can see the gas payer was Galaxy. We paid a tiny amount of HBAR. It's settled in seconds, and the whole thing is done. And now Eric, if he clicks on that NFT, he is now the owner of this NFT. It's now in his wallet. You can see he's the owner, all that kind of stuff. And so this is just an example of the way we approach user experience design at Galaxy and making Web3 functionality that's native accessible to mainstream audiences. It's all about knocking down as much friction as you can, giving these making things seamless and smooth for end users. So yeah, there you go.
So lightning fast tokenization and liquidation, are these the only reasons for which you chose Hedera? I mean, couldn't you have done it in Solana and other blockchain networks? Because Solana, by the way, is they're building some social media platforms on their platform as well, right? So why Hedera specifically? I mean, you partly answered it. Expand on that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I probably want to pass that to Spence and Solo because I think they chose Hedera before I showed up. I showed up afterwards, but I think, for us, when we're looking at a distributed ledger technology, there's a couple of key pillars that we want to understand in terms of capabilities when you want to build a social experience that, if you hit any kind of scale, is going to have a lot of transaction volume demand, right? So you want to have a network that's got super high throughput. So transactions per second needs to be off the chart. Today, as we speak, Hedera's mainnet is processing around 1,500 transactions a second. That is incredible. It's the market leader in terms of its capacity, and it can go to hundreds of thousands like this. The other thing you want to do is transaction costs. So the transaction cost has to be very nominal. It has to be so nominal that we can do stuff like I just showed you, which is about 65% of the on-chain transactions that we do in Galaxy. Galaxy pays the gas fees because in as many situations as possible, we don't want users to face gas fees. Hedera has the lowest gas fees, like fractions of a penny, so that we can get that stuff done. The other piece to this would be security. So Hashgraph was invented by Dr. Lehman Baird in 2016. He wrote the original white paper. And in 2018, Hedera was founded. Mance Harmon and Dr. Lehman Baird founded it. And Hashgraph achieves a cryptographic security standard called asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance. This is the highest cryptographic math proof that can be achieved in cryptography, in decentralized cryptography. This is a very exciting thing. And I think it doesn't get the credit it deserves, because when you're that secure, like when you achieve that level of security, we out of the gates know that we've got the underlying underpinnings of our technology already achieving the highest standards of security that we know of. And so that's going to really help us in terms of assuring users, especially when we're moving into a model where most of the value that's created, whether it's your non-fungible tokens, your fungible tokens, your identity, all the stuff that you're going to hold in your wallet, when we're moving to an ownership model where most of the stuff is owned by you as a user, it's going to be increasingly important that the decentralized tech under the hood is the most secure it can be. And so ABFT is something that's reassuring for us. But beyond that, the community at Hedera is wonderful. They stood up a fund called the HBAR Foundation, which is it's the largest investment fund off of a cryptographic project like Hedera to invest in the growth of the economy, invest in the growth of the ecosystem. And the HBAR Foundation is essentially an investment arm that's looking after projects and investing in projects to step up and potentially grow. So the ecosystem's strong, the community's strong, and we're big believers of that. We're just big believers of what they're accomplishing.
Mm-hmm. I guess your motto, what was your tagline? For the creators, from the creators?
For creators, by creators.
You know what Coin Republic's slogan is?
What is it?
For the people, from the people, by the people. So we got,
There you go.
I am nuts about community, right? We do Twitter Spaces and Clubhouses almost quite frequently, right? Let's talk about community. You talked about Hedera community, but how do you guys prioritize community build up? What strategies are you implementing? Because now you're in the beta stage. What strategies are you implementing to build the creator economy from scratch in terms of community?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you strip down all the bells and whistles, Calaxy functionally is a social marketplace, right? So if you think about a marketplace, Amazon's a marketplace. There's buy-sell activity, but there's not a lot of socializing, right? And so what we are is essentially a social marketplace. So it's not just that the marketplace has social dynamics. We have a social feed where you can do a lot of the standard social media activities like posting content, sharing, liking, all those kinds of things. But the things that you're buying are social experiences from creators. And that basically means that when you show up and you have a creator that you like, that you've been following, and you see them post a tweet on Twitter about, come hang out with me on Calaxy, you can interact with me on video calls, things like that. There's the capacity within direct messages to buy those kinds of experiences, which are fun. But then when you're done with that experience, you get to share that with your friends. You get to essentially reshare it in our social feed or share it with, your friends off app. So there's some really cool ways that you can build community through the way you interact with fans and creators. We're also going to be moving towards, so right now, most of the experiences you purchase are one-to-one, right? So if I were to show up, I'll buy a video call from Eric Struck, for example, which is my co-panelist on Collision. That's in a one-to-one interaction. We're going to be moving towards a world where it's one-to-many interactions. It's live streams with different payment models. It's gated social feeds where you have communities built into social feeds, kind of like Discord, where you can set up rooms, whether it's chat rooms or social feeds, and they're token gated. They're, you have a distinct community, and that's, the beginning of that is something what we call fan club. So fan club is where you can buy into and unlock and subscribe to content that's more premium from creators, and that allows you to be a part of a more close-knit community with that creator. It unlocks exclusive access to them, whether it's through chat, whether it's through premium content, and additional perks that creators will be able to turn on at their whim, basically.
They do have their own native token, and they are also trying to create a tokenized creator economy. Are you guys gonna have? Are you gonna be a social media platform? Are you gonna have your own native metaverse or some sort where people could hang out? Is that in the plans?
Yeah, I mean, I think that hanging out and being part of a community, showing up for Galaxy to just hang out and do video calls with each other, to hang out in chat rooms with each other is certainly one of the goals. I think our primary goal is direct creator monetization. It's giving creators the tools to monetize their likeness to a subset of their fan base that we call super fans. So these are basically a subsection that have a willingness to pay to interact with them on a more premium one-to-one basis. But I think that, that's kind of where we're starting, and we're proving out our MVP model based on that premise. But I think we do want to move to a world where we expand out what community looks like and community building specifically, and not just arming creators to turn on one-to-one value, but also turn on community building value, whether that's live streaming, like I mentioned, gated social feeds, chat rooms, off-app experiences that are exclusive to fan club members or token holders. So yeah, in terms of the social experience, I would say it's not our primary goal to be a social media app, but we do understand and recognize that the social experience that goes around with buying and selling experiences from creators, I think is tremendously beneficial, and it's going to help creators monetize their fan base and create a dynamic that's pretty unique for them and their fans.
Congratulations, you guys raised 26 million in the first round of Flate, right, this year itself. That's fantastic. I wanted to ask it in the beginning. How did you guys what inspired you to create Galaxy?
I mean, from what I understand from what Spencer and Solo have told me, Galaxy is a vision to give creators a tool set to monetize their likeness quickly and easily with their existing fan bases, but also new fans that they would build in the app experience itself. But we want to be a place essentially where one of the biggest problems that we've heard from creators that we're trying to solve in the industry is managing disparate platforms, disparate fan bases, disparate deplatforming risks. They've got to figure out different algorithms, different monetization models. So maybe you have video calls over here, then you've got a premium direct messaging experience, then you have a live event ticketing experience you're managing over here. And one of the key problems that we're seeking to solve is to bring a lot of those monetization channels in one spot. So you can manage one single shop, flip on those kinds of experiences and form factors, and deliver them to fans, and you have less to figure out. And so I think the big vision is to turn on monetization channels from creators and what I would call 4 different form factors. You have digital experiences, physical experiences, then you have digital goods and physical goods. So digital goods would be like, Bored Ape Yacht Club or NFT artwork. Physical goods would be, maybe it's a rock concert guitar. Maybe it's like one of my favorite memories of a rock concert was an event called Oshega. It's in Montreal, a few hours up the road, and Post Malone smashed his guitar at the end of his set. And I thought that was such a cool moment, and everyone went crazy. Well, Post Malone's going to be able to take that guitar, tag it to an NFT, and then sell that as a physical good through that form factor. And that, that fan gets to own it. They get the guitar mailed to them. They get to hold on to that. And then you have, physical experiences, which would be private events. So maybe Post Malone does a big MSG Gardens, concert, his regular thing, but then maybe it has a private concert a little bit later, like the next day or after hours, which are only available to an exclusive set of fans. And he's delivering that experience and that ticketing experience through Galaxy. So that's a form factor that we're going to go after. So yeah, I mean, we talk about those 4 quadrants. We're building to a world where those things are accessible and attainable from a single spot, from one creator, where they can get a lot more done with their fans and in terms of monetization and things like that. We aren't there today. That's the grand vision. We're building towards that world. Today, we're talking about digital experiences. So it's just low-hanging fruit, like video calls, video messages, direct message, shout outs. So when you show up, most of your profile real estate is focused on e-commerce, is focused on your shop. So within minutes of setting up your shop, you can be inviting your fans to come out and hang out, and you have a primitive set of products that you can turn on and deliver through DM right away. Video messages, video calls, shout outs, custom off-app experiences, so totally open. And then you can brand those primitive pieces to be whatever you want. So one of the examples I use in a lot of our demos is Tiana Massara is one of our creators. She loves to do yoga. So maybe she does a yoga on the beach session that's 1 hour, fixed price, and it's branded with her content. And under the hood, that's a video call product powering that custom experience. And now she builds an entire suite of experiences categorized. So you almost have like a Shopify shop, but it's all digital experiences and ways that interact with the creator and their bespoke personalities that are totally about them and their world, in ways that appeal to their fan bases. And so Calaxy is a vision to turn on that kind of an experience for creators.
Fantastic. You guys, I mean, we're going to get to your native token later, but let's talk about your baby, right? The Myro, right? I've looked into your collection. On June 6th, you launched Calaxy's first ever collectible NFT pack drops. You called it Myro. Yep. A couple of ones, the Myro Island, the flipbacks, and all that. So, first off, what was your favorite one? And what was the thought behind creating these collectibles?
Yeah, absolutely. That was such a fun project. I absolutely love that. So yes, Myro: An Origin Story is the very first NFT pack drop ever launched on the Calaxy app. We launched it on a beta experience and to the HBarbarians crypto community on Twitter. These guys are very dedicated fans of Calaxy and Hedera projects. And I think that the inspiration behind the Myro origin story was I wanted to tell the story of Calaxy from the very beginning, all the way from Spencer tokenizing his NBA contract, all the way up to current day. And I wanted to capture not just our story, but also our vision. And so every single NFT, there's 26 NFTs, and the quantity is reflective of Spencer's NBA jersey number, which is 26. So he's always had 26 as his jersey. And, so Myro Island was, a kind of an imaginary world where we build a metaverse. You've got a virtual island of creators and you can go hang out with them in different aspects, do different experiences with them. Main stage Myro. I one day dream of Myro being a cultural icon that represents and is synonymous with the creator economy. And I'd love to see Myro on main stage behind Tomorrowland screens with a creator that's coming on Calaxy live streaming, So, many of us are probably fans of Batman. When you see the Batman logo up in the sky, I want Myro to be shining up in the sky one day from our parties in Miami and LA and all that stuff. And I want to say, oh, that's Myro. And it's a calling card to creators. It represents.
It's your mascot. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's a symbol of the creator economy and all the kind of fun stuff that we're doing. Calaxy is it's all about feels. You got to have a feel. You got to have a personality. You got to have a vibe. And under the hood, the strategy part of this is being a fun, accessible place. I don't want to be intimidating. When people come and start to play with crypto features, I don't want them to think about Web3 and how hard it is, how dangerous it is. I want them to think about it as a place that's fun, where I can achieve things I can't do in Web2. I can own the value I create. I can interact with my fans in entirely new ways. I want Myro to be the summation of that promise and that vision. And I want people to get behind it. And so, yeah, I needed to come up with something simple. It was a risk when I designed Myro, because I wasn't sure how Spencer and Solo were going to respond to it, but they absolutely loved it. Spencer printed a bunch of sweaters and started showing up to games with it and stuff like that for warm up. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess Myro's going to be a thing. And so, yeah, Myro: An Origin Story was just a way through an NFT pack drop to kind of communicate everything that we've been working towards and are continuing to work towards. And so, it was just such a fun experience. That gallery, we've had acrylic prints showed at Consensus in Austin and NFT NYC. We threw a big penthouse party and had that kind of stuff up there. So it was really cool. I think it sold out in like 10 minutes, which is not too bad for a very first ever pack drop for the app.
You actually have a collectible named It's Me Myro, like the Myro. That's a fun one. I can see the Batman vision. It's gonna dawn on me. Hey, prior to getting live on this podcast, we talked a little bit about your design journey. How did you become a designer and all? You didn't go to a design school and all. I'm gonna get to the inspiration for future designers later, but people ought to know the difference between the UI UX design that goes in Web2, building websites and all sorts of things, and an immersive environment in Web3, because they think it's all metaverses. Could you explain, how does it differ from Web2 UX design?
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I don't want it to differ too far from Web2 design. That's kind of the point. Is I think that one of the biggest reasons that crypto projects aren't more mainstream than they otherwise might be right now is because the experience itself is still very Web3. It's very like, oh, this is a Web3 project. And like, I have a lot of things I have to learn. And like, you know, temperamentally, I think one of the biggest differences between early adopters and, you know, early and late majority or mainstream is it's not intelligence, not capability, it's not any of that kind of stuff. It's interest and philosophical buy-in to the underlying tech, right? So early adopters have plenty of patience and inertia to figure out the hard stuff to get to some of the wow factors because they're philosophically bought into the Web3 tech and the promise and decentralization. They wake up dreaming of decentralization every single day. Mainstream audiences don't think like that. They don't wake up every day thinking about decentralization and philosophically bought in and all that kind of stuff. They don't have as much inertia or patience to deal with a lot of the friction points that inherently come with Web3. So when I'm designing an experience for Web3, what I ultimately want to do is produce something that feels Web2 native, that feels comfortable in your hands, while accomplishing Web3 native functionality. And the user experience and the way that I try and do that is kind of like what I demoed before, is I'll often look for a job to be done in Web3, like texting an NFT to your friend. And then I'll look at the models, the mental models in Web2 that are already at scale and proven, like texting pictures to your friend. And I'll say, can I borrow that model and apply it to this use case, which is texting an NFT or transferring value peer-to-peer, wallet to wallet? And it turns out most of the time the answer is yes, you can do it. It does require a little bit more elbow grease and work under the hood. You've got to have a really special core of engineers that are willing to go the distance to actually solve a lot of the friction points and abstract away the complexity. But if you work hard enough and you know, I believe that you can get it done. You know, the NFT, the texting NFT is an example of that, where you can manifest an outcome that feels simple, but you know, you're actually still doing a very cool Web3 thing, which is transferring ownership to your friend. And so I would say the biggest difference between Web2 and Web3 is the very unique set of challenges that arise from distributed ledger technology. So, you know, when we talk about Web3, it's a broad term, but it's really centered around DLT, distributed ledger tech, right? And if it's and there's different forms there. There's proof of stake blockchain, proof of work blockchain. You know, we run on Hedera Hashgraph, which is another form of distributed consensus. But ultimately, Web3 is all built up around distributed ledger technology. And because DLTs are still in their early stages of development and they're early on in the innovation curve, there's still a lot to be figured out. There's naturally going to be some growing pains and some things that, you know, there's friction that's going to surface to users that wouldn't otherwise surface if it was like a Web 2 protocol. So if we think about email, for example, IMAP and POP3, email's been around for 50 years. The very first email ever was sent in 1971. So we've had 50 years of innovation, 50 years of improvements and maturity and adoption and all that kind of stuff. So now if you want to turn on transactional emails in your application, you can hire a developer and in hours plug into one of the hundreds of APIs that, you know, will do email for you, and you can have transactional emails firing in your application very easily. There's not much to figure out. The design paradigms around email are there. In Web 2, it's completely different because we're way at the beginning of the innovation curve. And so we've got a lot more friction to deal with, and that's okay. That's part of the process of innovating and getting better and unlocking new value and introducing a paradigm shift in, you know, the way we think about peer-to-peer experiences and ownership and value unlock and all that kind of stuff. But as a designer who needs to try and make experiences accessible to the mainstream, I always have to have in mind the temperament of the mainstream, right? They're not going to have the kind of patience that the early adopters do. And so you've got to make the onboarding experience super light and smooth. You've got to leverage a lot of the stuff that's already familiar to them to get Web3 jobs done. And if you do a good job at that, I personally believe that you're going to end up with an experience that feels familiar and fun on the surface, kind of feels like Web 2, but you're getting the ownership value that Web3 provides. You're getting that unlocked. And I think that's really, really important. So that's the UX strategy I've been employing. So a lot of what you'll see at Calaxy is Web 2 stuff. It feels Web 2, but we have an inbuilt wallet, for example. We've bifurcated the wallet setup from onboarding. So that means you can set up with a phone number, and when you're comfortable, you can turn on your wallet. But you don't have to do it right away. We don't want to block you, right? We want you to get into the experience, see what's available, check out some creators, see the social feed, interact with the Web 2 features, and then when you're ready, turn on your wallet, unlock your Web 3 value, and then you can get going. But I want to create an environment where you've got enough time to build up that inertia to actually go through and turn on the Web 3 features.
got a quick follow-up question on that. People
Of course,
have
yeah.
trust issues when it comes to wallets, with the Ledger controversy of late with seed phrases and other cold wallets, even, vulnerable to attacks. So in terms of security, when people choose your services, how safe are their digital assets when they use Galaxy's inbuilt wallet?
Absolutely. So our wallet security is completely and directly connected to Hedera Hashgraph's security as a mainnet network, because every single wallet in Galaxy is a self-custodied Hedera wallet, right? It's not a unique thing that we drew up or we're inventing new security features. It's completely a mainnet security cryptographic self-custody wallet on Hedera's mainnet, and that means we're leveraging Hedera's mainnet security apparatus, which is asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance. It's that highest security standard for cryptography. It's a little outside of my lane to get into the depths of the security apparatus. I would probably point to YouTube. If you Google any of Dr. Lehman Barrett's talks on asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance or mainnet security, he is wonderfully articulate at describing the security apparatus and the advantages that Hedera provides in terms of its immutability and its security as a mainnet. So I'm going to let him kind of take it further, but all I know is I'm at rest knowing that we're running on one of the most secure distributed ledger technologies available in the market. And I think our users are going to find that as well.
So from security to a basic question that a lot of people might have. I know you're biased towards the design aspect of it all, but a lot of people think NFTs are fad. It's dead. So Chad, tell me, man, honestly, do you think NFTs are dead?
Yeah, that's funny. It's actually funny because Solo Cisse, my CEO, that was the name of his talk at Collision. He was on a panel, and the question was, "Are NFTs dead?" So I want to make sure that, I point out, I think when a lot of us think of NFTs, right, we think about Bored Ape Yacht Club, we think about CryptoKitties, we think about the digital artwork use case. But I want to make sure, and I'm sure a lot of the members in the audience know this already, but NFTs are not digital artwork. NFTs are the container that holds the value, right? And it's the on-chain container that achieves provenance, achieves authentic ownership, permissionless ownership. But what goes in this little glass box container called an NFT can be a JPEG. It can be a music album. It could be a physical good, like a tagged ownership. It could be 14.9% ownership in digital real estate. It could be, a ticket to a concert. It could be a claim on someone's time. So this could be an access token that gives you a claim on someone's time in the future. So maybe Galaxy one day when you buy a video call from Spencer, for example, you're not redeeming it right away and booking it on his calendar. You're holding on to that access token and buying an option on his time for a year down the road, right? So NFTs are so far away from being dead, it's not funny. The NFT use cases are abundant, and we're only just starting to discover what those are going to be. But basically, if you think about it, anything in the world that is currently non-fungible, that's basically not currency, has the potential to get tokenized, and the ownership model of that item gets turned on, and it's fractional ownership. And so when I think the industry, and there's already projects working on this already, but let's take real estate, for example. Tokenizing real estate, typically, my parents own the deed to their house. They own the deed, and it's one property, and that's it. Well, if my dad were to decide that he wants to tokenize the deed to his real estate, he could turn on tokenized ownership or fractional ownership of his house, and bring a bunch of other people into the ownership picture and participate in the equity and hopefully the valuation growth of my dad's property as Toronto grows and all that kind of stuff. So are NFTs dead? No, I think that we're at the beginning stages of it. I think there's fads that come and go. I think that digital art might be a fad that comes and goes quickly. But, in 2017, we saw the pop with CryptoKitties, which was one of the very first mainstream NFT projects. It took off. And if you look at the CryptoKitties usage, it went like this, boom, and then came down again, right? Does that mean NFTs are dead? No, it just means that specific use case had its moment, had a lot of fun. A lot of people unlocked a lot of value with it, became aware of NFTs, and then they moved on to something else. The NFT craze a couple of years ago, I think it was 2020. Same thing, huge activity alongside a bull market, really fun, and then it came down again. Doesn't mean NFTs fundamentally as a technological premise is dead. It just means some of the use cases that are running up on top of it have fads, and that's okay. I don't think NFTs are going anywhere. I think it's the future of how we establish ownership.
Do you think generative AI is a good thing for NFTs or a bad thing for NFTs? Because a lot of people now creating digital arts with generative AI and tokenizing it. So is it a good thing for the fad, or is it just another fad?
It's interesting. I've been thinking a lot about this. I actually played around with Midjourney for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I was typing in the prompts and I was seeing all the wonderful artwork it was creating. And I found it peculiar that one of the main requests from the community of Midjourney is for Midjourney to create imagery that looks less Midjourney. Why do you think that's the case? It's because people don't want it obvious that, oh, that was just a Midjourney prompt. I didn't actually create that artwork, right? Like, why is couture at the Met Gallery so valuable? Or why is a Rolls Royce so valuable? Or why is the Mona Lisa so valuable? It's because of scarcity. There was blood, sweat, and tears and human creativity and ingenuity and thousands of hours that went into the creation of couture fashion or artwork or cars, bespoke hand-built cars. People want stuff that's hard to get. And what Midjourney represents is digital artwork in abundance. It's the commodification of art, and it's cheapening. I think it makes it more accessible for people who have no business holding a paintbrush to now create cool artwork, which is fun. But I think there's still going to be a lot of use cases where people are going to want to be able to own things that are not in abundance. They're going to want to own scarcity. And I think that NFTs specifically enable and maintain and preserve the scarcity dynamic. Because when I own something in my wallet, I can prove it on chain. I have the one of one. Like, there's nothing else in the world. There can be millions of photos of it, tons of abundance, right? There's millions of photos of the Mona Lisa, but the actual Mona Lisa is still worth hundreds of millions of dollars because there's only one of them, right? And I think that NFTs take that concept and they make it digital, and they get rid of, a lot of the constraints that come with, the pre-NFT eras and stuff like that. And so I think, no, I don't think NFTs are dead. I think Midjourney is a good thing. I think that when you want to create a PowerPoint presentation and you're not too sensitive about the image, you just need to get the essence of what you want to say on the slide, Midjourney is great for that. But if you want a bespoke piece of artwork and it's very specific to, what you imagine, I still think you're going to need artists for that. We'll see. It's progressing though, right? That's today. AI is moving very fast. So I might have a very different answer for you 3, 4, 5 years from now. But today I think we're okay. I think scarcity is an important piece.
We'll for sure catch up in 3, 4, 5 years from now. You guys have an interesting portfolio in beta mode still, but you guys raised $26 million US. You guys have a native token CLXY. You guys partnered with Staber Lab and you're on, seamless transactions and a lot of other features. What's next? What are you working at? What other milestones are you going to look at? I mean, you already have the marketing figured out, the design guy. We got the NBA All-Star guys over that, Hollywood in the palms. But in terms of features, in terms of creating the creator economy, what are the features and the milestones are you looking forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is we're going to ship a product and we're going to graduate from a private beta with a closed family of creators who have been absolutely wonderful to us. But we need to move from an era where we're building and we have a lot of assumptions. We have well-established hypotheses about the problems we're trying to solve. We actually need to get into the marketplace and prove out those problem solves. We need to really prove the traction. We need to prove that it doesn't have to be everything that we've built, but typically what you want to see is you want to see a few things that you've built are working, and you turn that little flame into a bonfire. You hit hyper growth, you triple up your team size, and you really make sure that you're proving out what you've built, because we built a lot, right? Like, we're kind of antithetical to your traditional product development logic, which is like build something super tiny, ship fast, and then iterate really quickly into taking over market share. We built like half of Rome in our feature set. We've got a rich feature set. We've got a lot of stuff that we're shipping to. But it's because one of the key problems we're trying to solve is having all of those individual tools in disparate places, right? So in order to figure out, hey, do you like owning all of your money, your monetization channels in one spot? We have to build primitive monetization channels across a suite of tools to turn on that and see if that works. And so it's taken a little bit of time to build, but I think once we go to market, the next thing it gets back to what I was talking about the form factors. So the majority of the value that's delivered right now is digital experience form factors. And by the way, under the hood, every single transaction that happens between a fan and a creator is an NFT, either implicitly or explicitly. So when I buy a video call, if I were to buy a video call from you, that is minted as an NFT object on Hedera. And the minute you deliver that video call and redeem the tokens, that NFT is burned. But what we're doing is we're setting an on-chain precedent for all of the transaction value that's going to happen on the network. And very quickly, it'll enable us to, instead of me buying that NFT and instantly redeeming it and booking time on your calendar, I hold a claim on Sarov's time in my wallet. I have that NFT, I have that access token, and I can redeem it at a future date with you and unlock the value then. And so for us, we're moving from digital experiences to, merch, physical shop, physical goods, physical experiences. So NFT ticketing, the ability for a creator to flip on a side event, sell it to 100 of their top fans or fan club members, and then show up with some security and some of their staff, scan those people in and have a really cool physical experience. So we're moving in that direction where we're turning on more value channels for creators to run from their singular profile. So I'd say that's kind of the direction. I don't want to get too specific, but that's the direction where we're turning on more channels of value. Sticking with the same premise, social marketplace, we're just kind of expanding out the possibilities that happen within that marketplace.
Let's get specific on the final question. You got a native token CLXY. Where can people find it? Also, where can people get in touch with you guys? When are you going live?
Appreciate it. Yeah, CLXY is on Bitrue. So you can go check out Bitrue. And I would say more information on CLXY is at the Creators Galaxy, CreatorsGalaxyFoundation.com. So that's where all the information about the Creators Galaxy protocol, the open source tooling that we're developing, the CLXY. We have a white paper that explains all our tokenomics. So in terms of where to go to learn about CLXY, understand its interaction and dynamic with Galaxy and our plans for its use in Galaxy, I'd say check out the Creators Galaxy Foundation. We also have a Discord, so you can check out Creators Galaxy Discord. Chris is one of our community members on Galaxy. He's interacting on Discord and answering questions there. So yeah, when we're going live, that's a great question. I think some of the running joke with internally is we've been coming soon for 2 years. We're a crypto project. Crypto projects take a little longer to build sometimes. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of regulation that we got to get through. So what I can say is we're very, very, very close. And I if I gave you a date, I'd be in trouble with my CEO. So I can't say exactly when, but stay tuned. You're going to hear from us very shortly.
Well, for you guys can follow Chad at Instagram, LinkedIn. He's everywhere. Or one of the founders. I mean, I recently connected with Solo on LinkedIn. He's a phenomenal guy as well. Spencer is a superstar. So follow these guys as well as follow us, because we're gonna follow this story, and whenever they launch, we're gonna let you guys know. How about that? That's a deal. All right. Chad, it has been an honor to have you on the show. Fantastic talk. We talked about your guys' USP, about the design aspect. We talked about Myro. We talked about Web3 designs, how it differs from Web2 design, a whole range of things. It's an interesting conversation. I'm gonna. What's your takeaway? Any parting words for the viewers?
Don't let the bear market get you down. I think that I think a lot of the projects that are going to matter in the next bull market aren't worried about the bear market right now. They're building quietly. They have a long-term vision. We hope to be one of those projects. We recognize that the bear market can be really hard on people. I would say crypto's not going anywhere. NFTs aren't going anywhere. Stay with it. Stay with your communities, and keep in touch. Keep checking out Galaxy. I appreciate you, Sarov. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you very much. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic conversation with Chad Winston. Go ahead and follow Galaxy because they do have potential, that's for sure. And we're going to keep a close eye on this project. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to press the subscribe button. It's easy. It's not tokenized. It's Web 2. All right. So avail of it. And we are the beacon of the future of media. So until that becomes tokenized, maybe we're going to use Galaxy. Up until that time, follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and we have discussions on Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces. So join us over there as well. This is Sharav Bhattacharya from the Coin Republic, signing off.